Hey, what's up? A-Aron back for another reaction to Angelina Jordan. And this is one of the classic ones that you've been talking about. It's A Man's World, age 12 live performance. And I'm super excited for this. Now, super quick, I have a new membership site where there's a number of perks like seeing things in advance. Those in the membership site will be seeing this long before many of you, ranging depending on the level. So more information on that in the description if you want that. And one of the perks is actually to be able to request things, and those get seen and prioritized. And I'm just getting better at that. But that said, this is the first one in that request list that I haven't yet done, which is why I'm doing this now. So thank you for that request, and let's dive in. It's a man's world. And yeah, here we go. I'm anxious and excited. Yeah! Woo! Right out of the gate. Okay. Wow. Okay, so that is the first time that I've heard that tone from her this early, and I hear it. I hear that Angelina tone that some of you have talked about later on, right? I heard that in Bad Valentine. This is the earliest version of that, actually, that I've heard. Now, I'm sure she's done it before. I've skipped almost all of, well, maybe even entirely. I don't think I've seen anything 10, when I've done almost all of 10 and 11. There's still a lot I got to do at 9, so and 12 for that matter. So I know there's a lot I've missed. But in terms of what I've listened to, that's the first time I've seen that tone, I think. I'll show you what. That tone. Oh. Sorry, I'm listening to the background instrumentation here as well. I thought I heard a plunger with the trombone. Okay, I mean, I'm going to talk about her voice separately, but there's something happening here in this arrangement that is so typical jazz, right? A lot of you like my jazz knowledge, so I'm gonna get jazzy on you right here, right? And a lot of times when I'll back up to her singing with this, but one of the things that makes jazz is improvisation, right? When they're randomly playing, I'm showing you trumpet because that's what I play, right? When they're randomly playing, well, that's not random, but when they're playing over like a chord progression and they're soloing, they're improvising, they're making it up as they go. Now, it can vary from literally completely making it up out of the blue to having worked through the chord progression and knowing it and having some ideas and so forth, to just literally responding to someone else. Now, what we see here is it's part of the melody, but you hear what's called a quote. And there's kind of this response refrain that often happens in improvisation where the people in company, sometimes it's horns, sometimes it's piano and other rhythm instruments, will cite back or rephrase back portions of what someone's saying. And you especially hear it happen when someone finishes a solo and goes into the next one, right? If I make some phrase, I don't know, then someone might start off the next phrase in the same way, right? Like they might continue with that. Probably should have been more simple in my example, but the idea is there. It's kind of quoting. Well, that's happening with her voice. Now, this is part of the melody, but you hear that with some of the instrumentation feeding it back with her, which is really neat because it gives it that jazzy feel, even though this song isn't really a jazz song, right? This is soul. James Brown is a man's world, right? But cool choice of arrangement. I think it's a little bit further. Beautiful. Right there. Yeah, yeah. Take us out of our role. Da-da-da-da-da. You hear that? And the trumpets in the background. And here again, I think. Yeah. So I think that's a sax, sliding. But that slide, two slides in a row. I mean, there's so much she's doing. I think I'll break down her vocals here in my next pause because I've already done quite a bit here. But she just, the way she switched the character of that voice there at the end of that, and then just you've talked a lot about vibrato. I saw some of the recent comments about that. Oh, she just. She's changing the character of voice every 2 seconds here. Like, we just heard like 7 different interpretations of how she's singing something. Like, her tone is changing. Oh. Ooh. So much I want to pick apart here. First is her use of pitch, intentional, deliberate inaccuracy, right? Where the pitch is here, but to start slightly on under it and to bend up to it, right? To start slightly low, that da da da, right? Like to intentionally or even elongate it. Da, right? Like to really elongate that and of course she adds so much more character and flavor to it. As you've heard me say many times, I'm sure it's obvious I'm not a vocalist, but her use of that here, and then you hear some of the instrumentation doing some of it as well is fantastic. The other thing I want to comment about right now, I mean, look at the face of that clarinetist right behind her, right? If you look over her right shoulder, right behind her, that clarinetist, like she's just having such a good time. And that's when you've got a great artist in front of you. When you're not just counting out and waiting and preparing for your next session, but you're grooving, you're enjoying it, and that's what we see here. The other thing is, her her command of the stage here, right? Um, I guess that she doesn't know the tune well. She needs the sheet music in front of her. I would like to see that, stand moved from her, so that she's more there. But it doesn't make a difference realistically because you're just glued to her. Her voice is the instrumentation there. Now, you've heard me through the years talk about, or the early years, quite a bit talk about stage presence. She has more of it here. I think that she could be even more in the face, maybe even walk towards the front of the stage or a little bit around and stuff. Again, these are areas for improvement, nothing more. Um, at the age of 12, who else can do this? I mean, who else can do this? The other thing I'm noting about the arrangement, it's got that dun 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 dun, right? Like that kind of choppy feel feels very kind of a mix between Motown and soul and a little bit of blues in it. It doesn't get the same feeling for me as the original version of this with James Brown. Um, I think it suits her really well because I feel like it emphasizes her. Beautiful. Let's go back here. Yeah! Oh, even the director! Oh! She understands the contour of the song, right? Picture a painter. And I'm not an artist, and I don't know a ton about painting, so I don't know if this is how they would go about doing it, but just work with me here a minute, right? And you got an empty canvas, and let's say you're doing a landscape where you're painting mountains and so forth. I've got to imagine, and I've done a little bit on iPad, by the way, but I got to imagine you first envision what does the overall contour look like, right? Like what are the rough edges, right? And then within there's refinements. And a true artist understands the contour, the overall outline of the song. And what that means is at certain moments we're going to hit peaks and certain moments we're going to hit valleys, right? And she understands where in this song it's important to create that emotional connection and delivery with the audience, and when it's important to actually boom right there in your face, and when it's important to just die down and wither down. And we see that actual climax just before the ending, and it withers down into nothingness. I'm going to take that back. And just the impact of build, build, build. We've heard some screams and belts and some amazing changes and variations and different interpretations and different feelings and sentiments and different phrasing and oh my gosh, everything, right? But then she really lets you have it here. And then just brings it right back down to nothing. And she's not, I mean, her offset of the note, the release, there's a little bit of reverb on that with the audience and probably the setting, but just the acoustics of the area. But she's playing into that. She understands that here. That's just sick. It's sick. It's not just a shout, it's the release of it and playing with the acoustics of the room too. Right into that. Oh. And the band director. So look at the band director. Like, are you kidding me? Climax. Wow. Iconic. I don't know how else to say it. Iconic. It was masterful. Every aspect of that. And now, yes, now I hear some of her later sounds and understand what she's grown to, and I can see the beginnings of them here. The different tones, the different, I mean, everything she does. Um, wow. Okay, so I actually have a sore throat. So at the beginning of that, I was trying not to scream and so forth, and so you might have seen a little bit more reserved me, possibly. I don't know. I don't even know how I reacted. But again, this was just epic. And so we'll leave it at that. If you like this, please go ahead and subscribe for more. Again, if you are an angel, you want more, perks and community and things to that effect, check out the membership as I mentioned in the description of this video. Thank you much. We will see you in the next one.